Hi YouTube, this is Robin, and this is my cat. Say hi, Kylo. Hey. His name is Kylo. Um, the shelter named him after Kylo Ren from Star Wars, and he is just adorable. Although I don't like that character, I love my cat. So I just kept the name because I couldn't bear to change it on him. Um, anyway, um, I'm here for to I'm here for the YouTube Pagan Challenge of this year. And it's an A to Z prompt. So pick a subject for each letter, and that's the prompt for this year for the Pagan Challenge. I decided to do this one basically because I didn't know how to come up with subject matter for YouTube videos at the moment. Um, and I thought it could be fun. I watched a few others. I watched some of the videos that Shadow Harvest has done, and I thought it could be fun. So for the letter A, I've chosen autonomy. And why did I go so broad with even just the first letter? Autonomy, as opposed to something like athame or altruism. No, altruism is still broad, but I don't use athames, so this is where we are. Autonomy. I've chosen that because it's been speaking to me a lot in my life, namely the lack thereof. whenever whenever you're um if you're a witch or pagan, if you're of a different religion than your family of origin, for instance, you could feel a lack of autonomy whenever you're not allowed to practice in the way that you want to practice. I think that's a really common experience that people have of like, you want to be more true to yourself, you want to be more authentic, you want to be more spiritual in a way that makes more sense to you, but someone else, be it society, be it like if you live in a place where people are not really open-minded, be it Christians in your social networks, be it your own family, your parents, your spouse, whatever, someone doesn't want you to, and or like some outside force is saying no, you cannot do this, even though it's fulfilling to you, even though it's your very deep and true desire to do this, you can't. um like I said, I think that's an experience a lot of people have with paganism or witchcraft regarding autonomy, um and that it can be very fulfilling to finally get to a place where you can decide for yourself, and a confidence where you can decide for yourself what you want to do for you. Um, I've been feeling like I want to reach that place, not just in a pagan or spiritual context where, like, recently I had to make the decision to reduce my social media intake and participation. I was running a spiritual Discord for a little while. A Discord is it's a chat, client. So I was running a group for Kemetic pagans, to get together to celebrate holidays, or to talk about to talk about relationships with deities. I ran that for a few months, and then for reasons, I decided that it was better for my mental and emotional health and better for the group at large if I stopped doing that. Someone else took over the group. But so autonomy relates to that situation in like I started to feel restricted in what I could talk about. Like there's always going to be social boundaries of like this isn't appropriate to talk about in this place or at this time or with these people. There's always going to be stuff like that. But I started to feel really like judged for certain things or and like it could have been my imagination, I don't know. It could have been mostly in my head. Um, but I started to feel sort of judged or like there was a lot of pressure to perform spirituality in a particular way that I didn't like. And it's related tangentially to like sometimes my participations in Reconstructionist leaning paganism. It can get a little bit dogmatic. Not always and not for everyone, but it can sometimes get a little bit dogmatic where someone is telling you the right and the wrong ways to practice. Like I said, exceptions in my mind being made for like cultural appropriation or stuff, don't culturally appropriate, aside from things like that, like dogmatic about things that don't really make sense to me at least. Don't do this because it makes me, another person who has nothing to do with my practice, feel weird about how I relate to my spiritual trauma or like, stuff that basically stuff that has nothing to do with uh, that someone else is responding to the way that I do things, which has nothing to do with them in a way where what they're going through doesn't really have anything to do with me. But the rules are still being set of like, do the thing or don't do the thing. So other people's kind of religious hangups can feel sort of authoritarian, can feel kind of out of the blue sometimes, can feel like they're trying to influence you in a way that does not respect or support your autonomy, your ability to decide what is good for you and to then take action on it in the ways that you feel are appropriate. And I feel I started out this section of talking like saying aside from this, aside from paganism and spirituality, I also have been feeling that way just in general life, in daily life, in work, in social, like the problem really is not in social groups, it's that I don't really have a social life. I do. I have friends, I like to hang out with them, but I would like, it feels so much like the things that are meaningful to me and connective to me, like spending time with my cat or making something creative for other people and to share, or making something creative just for me, or sharing time, quality time with the people that I care about or the people that I have fun with. It seems like these things are that I want, that I deeply, deeply want on a soul level. They revive me, they refresh me. It feels like these things are more and more out of reach, especially in the current political climate. Like I live in the United States, and it just feels like authoritarianism is the word of the day. And I've long since been critical of capitalism. And I think that the work day and the 40-hour work week, the 8-hour work day and the 40-hour work week are not humane. I don't think that they're humane. And I don't think that human beings should have to live like that, especially for so little in return. The point, if there was a better balance between like, okay, so you go to work to get money, you have money and that gives you more autonomy, ability to like affect things in the world. But if the autonomy or the effect that you can have from working or from the actions that you take for society, like the labor that you do is not reflected in the amount that you receive back. It's like undervaluing of labor. That leads to a really, 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 really depth of alienation for me, and alienation from my divine self, and alienation from my emotional self, and alienation from my intellectual, interested, excited self, alienated from my loving self. These things all. Autonomy is just something that I think that every human being deserves. Like social contract and whatever, but people deserve to make their own decisions about their lives, and they deserve to be able to determine how their lives are structured and how they spend their time. And just something needs to be done. And that's really affecting a lot of my practice right now. So, yeah. All right. I guess that's going to be the end of the video for now. I may talk about it some other time, but for the A to Z YouTube Pagan Challenge, I think that's enough. All right. I hope you've enjoyed seeing how affectionate my cat is. Yeah. Oh, and one last thing. Like, I feel to some extent like, isn't that what witchcraft or spiritual practice is supposed to be for? Is supposed to give you more ways to form an intention, to direct it out into the world, and then to see results. And whenever any part of that is out of balance, the whole thing, it feels to me, falls apart in your spellcraft, in your work life, in your creativity. I feel like it's a progression of things. It needs to follow a certain flow and pattern, and it's kind of cyclical in that once you finish one project, you start another. Yeah. And then there's just so many obstacles to making that happen, and I wish I could say something like I wish I could say something to end on a positive note. I wish I could say something to be like, I know what to do about this. But I don't. And especially the work-life balance and the growing authoritarianism in politics, like I can say pay attention, do what you can, speak out against injustice, definitely whenever you can, and especially in the places where you have privilege, educate yourself about that, unpack that, get perspective, and speak out in defense of people that don't have the same privileges as you, and who maybe don't get the opportunities to speak out for themselves in ways that affect change. Like, you can do that. But in ways that you yourself are marginalized, or in ways that you yourself are oppressed, in ways that you yourself are struggling to get to achieve more autonomy, to achieve better balance in your life, and to heal that whole relation, that whole dynamic of how things are supposed to flow, of the creative process, creating the life that you want to live. I know that there's a lot of books. Sometimes I just feel like a lot of it is multi-level marketing. I try really, really hard. I try really hard to stay positive and to stay hopeful. But that's it for this video. YTpagan Challenge, A for Autonomy. Thank you for watching, and let me shuffle my cat so that I can turn this off. Bye-bye.